Hey! Welcome to Dollar Views. I'm Brian Gillis.
And I'm Stephen Montmanex.
We're just a couple of Long Beach State film grads with a lifelong passion for cinema trying to put our money where our mouths are.
And we decided to make our BAs mean something by offering our spoiler-free take on the latest film releases.
Plus, any other media we've ingested over the past week.
Whether that's the latest buzzworthy show,
an album that's been on constant rotation,
that indie darling no one can shut up about,
a cute romantic comedy,
or the latest Michael Bay masterpiece.
We go over it all. $1 at a time.
What is this place? Who are you?
It is our sacred duty to defend the world.
Right. Whoever you are in more danger than you think.
Be careful, Diana. If no one else will defend the world, then I must.
Welcome to jolly old London.
It's hideous.
Yeah, it's not for everybody.
Step back. Or maybe not.
It finally happened. DC made a movie everyone likes.
And it's getting a ton of love.
I wouldn't even say coincidental, but besides the fact, it also is the first superhero film directed by a woman.
Yay.
It's central to women and their livelihood, and men are embracing it despite the internet hating it initially.
That's right. Fuck you, Ghostbusters. This is how you do it.
It's funny you say that, because Dan Aykroyd, attacked Paul Feig this weekend. He was like, he's never coming back on the Sony lot type of shit, which I don't think is true, but
what?
I want to read the whole statement. He went seriously for his throat. He went, the reason the movie failed is because of him, which could be right. I don't know.
And that was because of Wonder Woman coming out? Is this timed specifically for that, or he didn't mention
I didn't read the actual article. I just saw the Twitter headline.
So he's just making excuses for it then.
I wouldn't know. It does seem the right time. It's a year since Ghostbusters. That was the big quote-unquote female blockbuster that was going to start the trend. No, this is. And the proof's already been put in because, we got Gina Price-Bythewood doing the silver and black for Sony. We have...
we technically have Anne Boden as the other half of that.
Yeah, the other half of Captain Marvel.
Yeah, which is still, Marvel not being good enough. They still have to have one guy attached. If you want to make jokes like that, then you absolutely can. I won't do it because they're a talented duo.
They're a really good duo.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like the jokes are right there for people that are just desperate to hate on shit.
And this film has a lot of jokes too. Probably the funniest blockbuster, funniest superhero movie I've seen in a long time. Maybe since the first Captain America.
You can thank Chris Pine for that here, honestly.
Not just even...
It's really the moment he comes in, though, that that's where the humor in the movie just comes in.
Well, that's when it becomes a movie, not an origin story.
Yeah.
It goes from, let's set up this world, which is very, very necessary, since most people aren't familiar with Wonder Woman's backstory, or Themyscira, or quote-unquote Paradise Island, Island of the Amazons, whatever you want to call it. So you do need that groundwork. You do have to build this side of the DC universe that is a little more kooky. And most critics will point that is the only section of the film that is bad.
It's the weakest part of the movie, not because it's bad, but because it's just pure exposition, and it goes on for 15 minutes. And thankfully,
it's a right amount of time.
It's because it's that long, and it's thankfully the movie didn't go that long. But it's just. It's cookie cutter. It's just there. It's a fill in the blank so we can finally get going. It isn't really until Chris Pine comes in that the movie starts really getting going, and then. The moment that I fell for the movie, that I just thought, you know what, I might actually love this thing, it's the boat scene. And then that's
when they have their moment alone. Well, they have that touch in when they first meet, not off the beach, but for real.
Oh yeah,
where you're like, oh, they have really good chemistry. But then when they're alone,
that boat scene's the one that does it. That's the final nail in the coffin where I'm just like, yep, I wanna hang out with these characters. I wanna go wherever they go. I am fucking down for this adventure right now.
Once Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman decide to go to London together, it becomes one of the best movies I've seen in quite some time.
No fucking hyperbole here. The fucking 94% on Rotten Tomatoes and shit. I was just going in
ace in my grade.
Yeah, I don't want to hype it up that much. I know people love it, but I know that there's a lot of reasons people want to love this movie by default, but holy fuck, after that it was just it became that good.
It's bliss. It's already made $100 million in the United States. It's made $250 million worldwide. It's gonna do way more than that. What's it got to compete against right now? Pirates of the Caribbean, Captain Underpants. It's got nothing.
Movies that are not I don't know.
It's-
Pirates of the Caribbean, I don't
No,
know how well that's
that's
going to do.
dead.
Captain Underpants is okay. It didn't cost shit
I
to make.
want
It
to
was
see.
actually,
Yeah, it cost like $34 million, which is really
Yeah.
impressive because I've seen the trailer and it looks like the Peanuts movie. It looks really good.
yeah, and
So
even that
I do
wasn't
wanna
that
see it
expensive
still.
either. So
I want to see that in 3D. I might catch like a Tuesday screening on that since I have the day off. But I knew right when I saw this, well, at least the first time, because I did see it twice. I saw it in Cinemark XD with 3D, which is pretty good. I've done that a couple of times. I did that for Warcraft. I did that for Suicide Squad, I believe. So I've done the XD experience several times. Reclining seats, reserved seating, whatever. It's their version of IMAX. And then the second screening I did 24 hours later was for an AMC Dolby Cinema, which was my first outing.
how was that?
I can't really say because I was late to my screening. I didn't really care about being
You
on
already
time.
saw
'Cause-
everything,
exactly.
though,
I
right?
already saw all the trailers. I didn't want to see them again.
You didn't get whatever cool logo that they had to say, "Hey, this is Dolby Vision. We're awesome."
That's
You're paying
kind of
for
what I
premium."
wanted. I wanted to see that. But the real thing was the seats that I'm used to at the Cinemark, they recline, but not really. It's kind of just like you put your legs up. This was like a full-on legs up and then even backwards. Like it would rock back like a good, I would say like 40 degrees with your legs up, and it felt really nice. The selling point on the website was something like, oh, you can feel the acoustics in your seat. I only felt that a couple of times. Maybe Wonder Woman was the wrong choice, but what was really cool, because I only saw it when I got out of the screening, the Atmos speakers on the top, they had like red LEDs in them, so the whole speaker array, you were very aware of where they were when the film wasn't playing. It was awesome. Like, I found myself during the movie looking up at the scene, like, oh yeah, there's fucking speakers up there.
That's your first Atmos movie, right?
Yeah, it was my first Atmos.
I have not seen Atmos in forever. I don't think there's one here in town. But yeah, you want to hear about my screening? Because this was something that caught me completely by surprise. And I don't think anyone knew about this. I ended up at the only theater in town that had a 35 millimeter print.
That exists.
That was just by chance. Like, I had no idea, and then sure enough, I look on Twitter later, and it turns out that the theater I was at, they had the one print at the Draft House with select screenings, and
I didn't even know that was a release.
that fucking happened somehow, and
That's cool.
It really was. Like, it was beautiful. Like, I've been pro 35 a lot on the show. Like, I do love the look of film. It can really look beautiful, but one of the reasons that a lot of people champion film is when it's in its purest form, when it hasn't been run through a lot, when it doesn't have a shitload of scratches and stuff, when it's very clean,
No cigarette
the
burns.
color's all there and everything. Holy shit, this really did look beautiful.
Well, yeah, it was just struck.
Yeah,
so-
no, and it was, when they do, when they project movies now, it's not on the platter system anymore. They have a projectionist up there going reel to reel, making sure that's in focus the whole time, making sure that it looks perfect. Oh my God, like, especially for a movie like this that was shot on film, just like, the colors and everything, like, there was something about seeing it that way, and especially a movie like this that, is kind of an old-fashioned adventure, like, epic
Fish out
flick.
of water.
Yeah, that really just, like, it's a genre that you don't really see anymore. It goes outside of just, a superhero story, but that really enhanced the experience a lot, and it's just, I remember... I think part of the reason it's not just being younger, but being more taken in by blockbuster releases, and I think film had a lot to do with that. And so there was a bit of this nostalgia that came back into play, but it was pretty amazing. It was pretty beautiful, and just seeing how things move at 24 frames a second, like on celluloid,
Or more than that.
like just in present day though, like not for how it's shot, but how it's presented. Like it's really an interesting sensation just watching it like that, and I was just with it every single second. I do want to see it again in IMAX if I can, but
See it in 3D.
yeah, no, like
having
I was
seen it, I'm
the
happy I
animated
saw it 3D
sequence.
first.
I was thinking like for a second
That looked
like, wow.
awesome.
Yeah, like it looked beautiful. It looked like a freaking Sistine Chapel painting off of that print. But I was thinking, in 3D, this could look really cool.
Any of the crowd shots, which there's lots of, the train stations, the battlefields, the anything, the 3D really pops. It's
Speed
great.
ramping shots too.
Yeah, like any of the arrow work and stuff. There's a couple that seem like they're coming out at you.
I know that
but
they
it just
played
sells
with it when they were shooting this. Evidently, like this was not like Batman versus Superman or Man.
Yeah,
of
it
Steel.
wasn't.
Like,
It wasn't just thrown on.
Yeah, like this was one that they actually designed from the get go, trying to figure out how they could utilize it.
It's-
And I'm
it was-
curious to check that out.
I like seeing a lot of things in 3D, but I'm very happy that I paid that extra money for this one, because my Dolby ticket was only $4, but I paid the full 17 or whatever for my matinee in 3D. Got to see it that way. It was The color and the screen might have been better in the Dolby Cinema, especially the sound, and the seats, mind you. But no, just the experience of seeing this one in 3D felt really good. Just being on this mysterious island and how it pops. Like I said, the battlefield, being in the trenches and being on the front in 3D, which
it didn't feel like CGI extensions too. Like they were actual sets. Like there's some extensions, obviously, but I mean, like when they're in that little French village too, it looked like a fucking World War I movie. It was amazing.
Kind of reminded me of Fury, to be honest.
Yeah,
that's
seriously.
World War II, but just how
just the rubble and everything, like and the small little villages, like even portions of Wings.
The centralized female character that this is directed by a woman, something that you kind of can't forget. The fact that the first female superhero blockbuster is about a woman who has only known women her whole life, and then comes to man's world, and she has these interactions where it's the grandest fish out of water story you can imagine. Not only is she confused about why men are in this world and why they're sending us to war and why they're doing this, or then even like suffrage stuff, and when she goes clothes shopping, and just so much throughout the film until the very ending does she not truly understand where she is and why, that it is the perfect complement, almost a meta argument for why this had to be the first version, the first female superhero that we got, because it sold it so well. But the thing is, it actually isn't. We've covered some of these on this show. Catwoman, which is one of our shared favorite Debt to Cinema episodes, that was 2004. That was a long time ago. That was a female star in superhero film. They did a Supergirl movie in 1984. They did Elektra.
Globus, man. I'm not sure how good that is, and I hear Elektra's pretty shitty.
It's supposed to be bad. Elektra is bad. I'm just saying there are examples of other ones. I would say Tomb Raider. Both of those films count because she's doing things that a normal person can't do. So it is not the first. It is the first one that is actually directed by a woman.
And also one that's taken pretty seriously at the same time. Like, hey, I like Catwoman. I'm not going to apologize for that. If you want to hear why, you can go to that episode, please, because we're seriously not joking about that.
No, I have that movie on Blu-ray. I got it on DVD, and I also have the tie-in comic book.
But in the case of Catwoman, it's like I'm very aware of what that movie is, okay? But it's not, like this one, you could take it about as seriously as you want to take comic book movies that
this is
that
a
come
very
out these
serious
days.
movie. It is also so zany and so funny. Like the fact that there is this island, like the Wonder Woman getup, for one thing, in the real world when you see it, like not in present day superhero theatrics, but on the battlefield, when people are like missing limbs and it's dreary as all hell, and you see this person wearing gold, red, and blue, basically a skirt, running around with her breasts like almost hanging out, like even if you're not watching this for sex appeal, you can't help but notice that Gal Gadot is drop dead gorgeous,
and that
she has a really good body.
And
you
Zack
see
Snyder
a lot of
definitely had
slow-mo.
an influence on this, or at least his style.
Yeah, that was the one thing that sucked on the second go through. How apparent the slow motion was, because it's used throughout, and for some reason, or in some cases, it is perfect. Like when you get the first Wonder Woman theme, when she it's in the trailer, when she attacks that room and fucking does the Batman moment from Batman vs Superman. It just destroys everyone in that room.
That's way later, though.
It's way later, but that's the first time you actually hear the theme that was introduced in Dawn of Justice. That is slow-mo where you're like, okay, this is cool. Or when the archers are doing their thing, which kind of reminded me of Troy a little bit, like, or even Kingdom of Heaven, like, that also is like, okay, this is cool slow-mo. But on the second watch, it was just like, whoa, they really slowed this stuff down to make you go, wow, I guess. But still not a real problem. All blockbusters do it, especially the ones that Michael Bay does. It's a genre
loves
convention.
That Phantom camera, man. He's actually the worst offender of it right now. But
that's the thing here, though. I don't think they actually shot it slowed down. I think they just converted it.
They looked more like digitally rendered shots rather than like,
they didn't ramp the frame rate up on the camera.
Well, it's like even though this is shot on film, I'm sure that they had high speed cameras that were digital on set, unless they used the photosonics. But I kind of doubt that. It didn't look like that high-speed film look, but
it did. Yeah, it didn't look like it was shot that way. It was just edited that way. But once again, not a problem. But this very much so is the first Captain America movie, except it's World War One instead of World War II.
It's not only that; it's Captain America and it's also Thor. It's really taking that idea of Captain America, where it's it's this person that's she's going to be in Justice League, and so we go way back in time to do her story right before we got the team up movie coming out, but. It's really like Thor in the sense that it's a fish out of water story and someone just learning about humanity in general and their world.
Even past that, when you use the Thor argument, instead of being Norse gods, it's Greek gods. Like, Wonder Woman is very tied to the Greek pantheon, and you do get a really good story about that, too, and how that may tie into Justice League. Because Max Landis tweeted about this, and it's an argument that I've had, too. There is no comparison of the Avengers to the Justice League. A Justice League is a group of demigods or full-on gods that can pretty much do anything and may be invincible. And
Batman.
He's the exception.
Yeah, but
and then,
I'm just saying that's not a group, technically.
He's the leader of the group, okay? He's the one that it plans things because everyone else is headstrong and works alone.
It's kind of the same deal, though, with Avengers, isn't it? Because Tony Stark is really the one guy that doesn't have any kind of superpower.
The difference in the Avengers, though, is that they are all mortal. You can kill any of them. If you took any person, even Batman...
They killed Superman, sir. I don't know what you're talking about.
If you take anyone from the Avengers, I mean, any single person from Justice League, and you took the entirety of the Avengers and had them fight, there's no contest. It doesn't matter if it's Wonder Woman, Aquaman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Superman, Batman. They're going to win. And the reason they're going to win is because they actually are doing real fights. The Avengers are a ragtag military group led not by Tony Stark, but Nick Fury. You have someone who's a military officer calling the shots. Justice League is for themselves and only for themselves because you need a band of heroes to stop the ultimate evil. Like it is we'll get that later this year. And they don't set up that film, which I think is probably the best thing. There is no mid or post-credit sequence. There is a framing structure that a lot of people don't like, but I'm a fan of, especially because...
it references this larger scale of the world, but it still stands fine without it. Like, a lot of people have said, hey, it's nice that, this movie doesn't have Batman in it as a cameo, which I didn't think about that.
Almost does.
But it really doesn't need it.
It doesn't. It stands on its own. It's just like some of the reviews I did see on Letterboxd from some of the bigger guys like David Elric are saying, shitty framing structure, which I totally disagree with. I like the idea here that the photo is such a big point in Batman vs. Superman that this whole film is about the photo. You get to see the photo taken.
You understand the importance of the character. It's a much bigger deal than Captain America, where it's just like, oh, hey, we found this guy. Let's flash back to this other story. I mean, Captain America's a fun, pulpy movie, but yeah, here it means something. There's a lot more to it.
This film is not pulpy. It is a very serious film. It has very important things going on, not just thematically, but also conversationally. When you have... There's lots of people of color in this film, either on Themyscira or during the war. You got, Turks and Tunisians, and it looks like they cast people appropriately, even if the film is taking place pretty much only in, like, Greek or a Grecian island, London, and France. And also, just the weirdest thing about this film is that there's, like, no subtitles at all. You have German officers speaking in English with, like, a German accent, but that's a blockbuster thing that you have to do. It isn't, but I kind of hate that shit, to be honest. I
don't know. Evil German accents speaking English.
It works.
It's something I've always found comical. Like, especially here. Like, there's a moment that I really like where that has to deal with throwing a gas mask in a room.
Oh, that scene is awesome.
Yeah, and it's a part of it's the accent, part of it's just like the twisted nature of it, which it's funny because I don't think tonally that the DCEU really changed that much from the other stuff. Like, it can be pretty grim here, but
it's still
it's just
fun.
It still feels like comfortable to laugh at that. So I mean, to me, it's really not that different from everything else, even though a lot of people would disagree with that, and a lot of people are still really pissed off. Like, yeah, Batman vs. Superman is way more downbeat, but...
It's in the title, though. It's Batman versus Superman. I mean, that film is not about the battle. That battle is whatever. But the idea is a clash of ideals. You have this Boy Scout alien who is stupid going up against this butchered man.
That's what I love about this series right now, and just why I love this movie. Why
every movie
I think I
is
just like
different
it better.
in this series.
You know, it's not just like clashes of ideology. Which, by the way, I mean, I gotta say, the final battle here,
so
freaking
good.
Not overloaded and overbloated in the way that something like Man of Steel was at the last minute. Because I love that, you know, even though this, yeah, there are effects here, but it's not about like doing the cool shots and just going, you know, fucking mano a mano, fucking throwing punches and just looking awesome. It's like, no, it's a battle of ideologies, and like that's always at play throughout the entire fight, and that raises the stakes.
Or not
and
even
it
the
fucking
fight
works.
The whole movie, it's set up,
but
in
especially
a very,
at that end, yeah. But
you
yes,
laugh
it is
it
built
off
up
throughout the film, but there is no surprise in this movie. If you've seen more than one film, you know that this battle is going to happen at some point. Just because of its initial setup in that first 15 minutes, it is thrown into conversation readily. Pretty much every scene. This idea that Diana has, that Wonder Woman has throughout the film, that everyone thinks is a joke, and yet she knows she's steadfast in her ideals, and you know she becomes this god of love. You know, like it gives you a very good reason for why she would team up with Batman and Superman to form the Trinity in Dawn of Justice, or why she is going to be in the Justice League, despite, you know, her being pretty much a god, being maybe immortal or at least ageless, that she would want to stand beside one man or a band of men who are trying to make a difference, because this film does that, if not anything else, just really make you want to buy into the sense of this Justice League. It gives you, for the first time, because Man of Steel, you don't even see Superman. You see this young man who's kind of lost, just standing, walking up to the plate.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a guy that like is having a hard time just having any respect for humanity, because he's been treated like shit the entire time growing up and knows nothing else. Like that's you know, that's why I can defend like shit like him not caring in Batman versus Superman or being apathetic. It's really the tragedy of it.
It's more like Superman's stupid and always has been.
Not stupid. It's just like, you know, here's a guy that's like so fucking strong and is basically, you know, doesn't really have to think about this stuff, but like
he's a meathead.
You know, he still is not matured yet cinematically as far as how we've seen him. But yeah, I'm totally down with the route that they've taken with him. Like that's, you know, that's really what I love about these movies and this series so far, is that, you know, they are morally complex.
Well,
and
not even that, but they're new interpretations of these heroes that we're so accustomed to, either through comics, movies, video games, fucking serials.
And it's risky when you do that, because people are not going to embrace that so easily.
People haven't embraced it, but I think this film is going to give that much-needed second breath. It's going to change people, because I know several people, even people that I work with. Even the first time I saw this, I came into work, I went, see Wonder Woman. They're like, oh, I'll wait for a $5 ticket. I'm like, no. See Wonder Woman. That this is so early in this DCEU that even though it's only the third film and the first two left such a bad taste in so many people's mouth, that it is going to be that refresher.
There's three, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, Suicide Squad.
Which was fun, you know, in a pulpy, entertaining way. But I think this is on the level of the other two, honestly, in a positive way.
It's funny. I've seen Suicide Squad 3 times. I've seen this twice. I've seen Batman vs. Superman twice. I've seen Man of Steel twice. Why is Suicide Squad the one that I've seen the most amount of time?
You know,
weird.
It's the dumb, fun movie that you can literally shut your brain off and just be like, yeah, I dug that.
I literally did the same thing I did here, except then I saw it on home video. I saw it in 2D, I saw it in 3D, and then in theaters, and I went, okay, I want to see the extended cut. I doubt there's going to be an extended cut. Well, just because I could. I doubt there's going to be extended cut for this one.
There shouldn't be. There really shouldn't be.
If it hits HBO and there is one, yeah, I will watch it. And I'm sure I'll watch it on HBO regardless. I think one of the better things in this film, and people are now catching it, like Jeff Johns literally retweeted it right before we started recording, but I caught it the first time. I definitely caught it the second time. They do a sex reversal on the Richard Donner Superman scene, the original scene in that alley where he stops the bullet and saves Lois Lane. They use that same exact scene in this movie, and it's just the perfect homage to the films where they were and now what they are now. I think this film came out at the perfect time Just in terms of where feminism is now, these conversations about female directors and needing extra people of color on screen, more diversification, and better representation for not just sexes but everyone. It's a global film. It is about a world war. It's a war to end all wars. The stakes are so high, especially when you play that into the mythology that's going into this, superhero story, that it feels grounded, that you are reminded once again, because they don't make them anymore, the horrors of wars in the way that they used to be. World War I, World War II, Vietnam.
Dunkirk's coming out.
Dunkirk's going to remind us as well. And it's perfect timing. It might have been last holiday, but they just put out Battlefield 1, which I still haven't played the campaign for, but I know it has the same kind of concept where this is not Call of Duty. It's not, oh, it's so cool to kill people and do these cool blockbuster sequences. This is the brutality of man. This is what man is capable of doing, especially with this warfare, these weapons, this mustard gas and stuff. And it does it so well. There's so much heart here. It might be lofty at times. It might be romantic. It might be kick-ass, but it almost made me cry the first time I saw it. Not because of the emotions at play, but just how, I don't even know the right word, but emotional I got at seeing...
So the emotions at play?
Not at play, just how emotional I got at seeing Wonder Woman on screen, not just done properly, but done beautifully. Like, it was before...
With respect as a character, and
yes,
not as just some...
Not as some sex symbol.
No, it's like, oh, here's a prop for you to enjoy an action movie.
It is a Wonder Woman movie. It is not a superhero movie with Wonder Woman in it. This is 100% about her and her character, and Gal Gadot does such a good job. I was relieved that I bought a second ticket when I was in the middle of my first screening. I was excited when I got out of it, and I knew that I was going to see it again. I wish I had a couple of days in between, but I'm nevertheless very overjoyed that I committed or helped out the box office on this opening weekend. It's a silver dollar. I'd buy this for $1. It is so good. If you're looking for a good summer movie, because we haven't had many yet, this is the one. I don't care if you're sexist, if you don't like war movies, if you're not even a fan of superheroes, you're going to like this movie. It is a very good time at the movies. Grab some popcorn, bring your girlfriend, bring your kids. Everyone's going to like it. The girls that are already going, these little kids that are so happy to see Wonder Woman on the big screen dressing up for their screenings, I'm happy for them. I'm happy for everyone. I'm happy that Patty Jenkins got to make this, because she's only directed one other movie, and it was Monster. Might have won a couple of Oscars, but it was Monster. And thematically, how separated that is from this. She also worked on The Killing. She did the pilot for The Killing. I love The Killing. That's on Netflix. You can watch the whole thing. Also, Mireille Enos, who stars in that, a female character who's very much one of the guys. Better than that, the co-star is Joel Kinnaman, a.k.a. RoboCop, a.k.a. Rick Flag from Suicide Squad. But yeah, please watch this movie, everyone.
This is what makes me most happy about this, is that, I try to separate the art itself from an industry issue, and we've covered the industry issue so many times on 2 Cents when it comes to, minority directors or female directors. And at the end of the day, my thing is, please just make the movie good. Now, when you got something like Ghostbusters, that's a movie that ends up being okay, and it's mainly known just for addressing this issue. Now, this movie, it's going to stand the test of time where people will not even fucking remember this issue unless they look it up on Wikipedia and see that, like, oh, hey, this was a first in that sense, and then go like, okay, cool. I really fucking hope it's like that, because there's really nothing, like, yeah, there are the differences, but, the gender dynamics that are at play there in battle between the sexes, but that's inherent to also the setting of this movie itself. But there's nothing in this movie that really crams itself necessarily down your throat and say, like, oh, that's because we're making this today, and hey, let's show that women are awesome. It's not like men are getting the shaft throughout this movie or anything like that, no. But it's never really shoving it down your throat. Like, it's there and it's present, but it's inherent to the narrative, and it's absolutely going to hold up. Like, even if it's dated as far as entertainment from 2017, it'll still hold up as entertainment that you can look back to at the past and be like, hey, that's a pretty fun movie. I'm convinced of that. Like, I'm really happy about that.
In the writer's room, they just nailed this setup. Having it set in a world where women were still secondhand, they didn't have the right to vote, they didn't have real jobs. They weren't soldiers. Having it set during the First World War, when, you know, that's the first time that it was a global epidemic. So many things. Like, it's countless. And when you throw in, like the fish out of water women story there, it just, I was almost shocked that they got it so proper, that they were able to check all of the boxes, that there are almost no complaints for this film. Like, if you look at any review, it's, the first 15 minutes kind of drag because I just want to see Wonder Woman, or, there's a lot of slow-mo.
I feel like that might be a symptom of now, honestly. Like, Doctor Strange, I felt was kind of similar in that it's like, okay, let's just rush through the fucking origin story before we get into the meat of it, you know? Like, I feel like it might be a thing of us being tired of origin stories now.
I don't think it's a problem. I'm just saying...
No, I don't feel like it's a problem. I feel like that's just what we do now. Like, let's jump through the shit.
The only issues that are present are those because, as a critic, you feel a need to nitpick because you want to at least address the issues at hand, because most films aren't perfect, and even perfect films aren't perfect. That's just you.
It's important to recognize that, absolutely.
Yeah. I think the best thing about this film is actually before the movie even starts, and that's the brand new DC logo that I had no clue about, that I actually, like... I don't know the right word.
I'm surprised there wasn't even a custom WB logo, but
I didn't need that. But
we got to see a full logo this time. So.
I almost shouted when it happened. There was a couple of moments during this film, like, you know, I was laughing by myself, especially on the second time. Like, I caught a couple of things. For instance, the department store they go to is a Selfridge & Co. So I don't know if that was an intentional trivia thing or maybe it's historic, but I was thinking of Mr. Selfridge. That stars Jeremy Piven, who's a big Warner Brothers guy. He was on HBO for Entourage. So maybe that was just like a little nod to him. I don't know. But yeah, it was the details I look for in that second outing, and there's a lot of them, and I just... It's put together so well. Like, it doesn't seem like a typical blockbuster by today's standards, where it's almost a rush production to get it out there so it can be, you know, make all the money.
They gave it love and care, and the whole thing about the movie being in trouble, those stupid rumors.
So stupid.
Yeah, fuck them. You know, the thing turned out good. Maybe it was in trouble, you know? Like, it's happened before where movies are in trouble and then they turn out good. You know, but I mean, but yeah, the thing that I'm most happy about, like, we've had... You know, it's not just Ghostbusters. I feel like, you know, even a completely different movie, but even Selma to some degree, which is tackling a different contemporary issue. It's like, you know, we got movies that are like...
I hate that movie.
I don't hate it, but it's like we got movies that are like, you know, specifically cramming this shit down our throats. And my main thing is, please just make a good fucking movie first. Like, Thank you so fucking much for making a good movie and making these points inherent to the narrative instead of cramming this shit down our throats, telling us about our world today. Like, thank you for focusing on that, on the art first. That's what I'm most happy about.
It's important for its historical placement that this is directed by Patty Jenkins and stars
but
Gal
it's gonna
Gadot,
it's going to be above that.
Exactly. It is not
like, at the end of the day, when you look at classics, they're movies. Not everybody's looking at the history of it. And that's what fucking matters. Like, that's absolutely what I love about this.
You can watch this 20 years from now, not know anything about movies, and you're going to see a good movie that has these strong feminist values, that it is a movie, first and foremost, that just so happens to have these thematic stems going in and out of it. It is not Selma. It is not, I'm a black woman director filming this movie about this crisis that is a part of black history that stars Martin Luther King Jr., because it's important. Like, when you see that slow-mo shot of those girls dying in the first 5 minutes.
Lingering on the shoe for fucking ever.
That was a, I'm going to make this movie because we need to make this movie right now type of film. Yeah. And those films don't stand the test of time. Those are, I'll watch it because it's important this holiday season because it is a awards contender. And now I'll never, ever talk about it.
Walks the line in between on that where it happened to be timely. But I still think that works as entertaining as well.
Because it's a good biopic. And it is about a musical group
that's what it's supposed to be.
Has kind of, even if Dr. Dre and Ice Cube are still stars, they don't have the limelight anymore, especially NWA doesn't, and it's like you said, that walks the line. But no, this is just, it's a solid movie. It happens to be a blockbuster about superheroes, and yet it does have these elements that make it a very good movie, not just for female filmgoers, but also all filmgoers, to maybe remind them it's a woman's world also. If anything can turn the tide, hopefully it's this one. Hopefully this allows other people like Catherine Bigelow who got K-19 The Widowmaker, which was the most expensive female helm film before this one to do movies, and now look at her,
Seriously?
she can do it was like
How expensive was it?
like
I've never
100.
seen it. Wow.
Yeah, and this is
I mean, that's a different
150.
time, yeah, but wow.
I mean, that's produced by James Cameron. It stars Harrison Ford. They had submarines, lots of CG in that movie. I've seen
still gotta
sections.
see it.
I've seen some of it.
But this movie, I'd buy that for $1, man. Absolutely.
Everyone's buying this for $1.
Fuck yes. It's badass. I don't even have to talk about like all the other shit that we're talking about. It's like at the end of the day, it's a really big, like, just really great, epic fucking blockbuster. And like even blockbusters of this type, I feel like we don't get anymore. Like we get so many tentpoles, but it's like
this is a literal blockbuster.
Because it's
this is the kind of movie you want to line up for, that you want to see again.
Something like because it's coming to mind right now, but like something like Captain America: Winter Soldier, right? Like that's a play on 70s spy thrillers, right? And like I mean, there's this trend now to like use these massive temple movies to like play on different genres, which is cool, but they don't ever feel that big anymore. Like
this was
epic.
This doesn't feel like a period piece. Like it is very much so
it's
of
a
a period.
Movie. It's an adventure movie, and it's fucking awesome.
This is 1910s, and you can't forget it either. The way they dress, the vehicles you see, because there's so much in this production design that is so impressive, but it is not going to be the thing people talk about because it does not matter. It just sets the stage. Seeing these trains and these planes and these cars and these wardrobes, it doesn't matter because it is literally cannon fodder, because there's so much more going on, so much more that people are going to be talking about that. Yeah, this could be Oscar nominated for a lot of different
I was going to
things.
say, the other stuff, hey, Oscars, take note. I usually don't give a shit about you, but take note.
It's like
Suicide Squad can win for makeup, which is fair.
Fair.
It's just the sentence is
Hair
funny.
and
Academy
makeup.
Award winner, Suicide Squad.
I love it. I love it.
But yeah.
It's been 2 years since Mad Max. This is the first blockbuster since then that actually stands up to it. Not only is it led by a strong woman, not only is it telling you a story about why men are bad and how they're destroying the world, but it just kicks ass, and it's awesome, and people are going to want to see it again and again, and I can't wait to have it on my bookshelf next to Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. I obviously was going to see Justice League already. I'm definitely going to see it now, and I hope Wonder Woman steals the show.
I kind of expect Justice League to be a bit more fun in comparison. I don't know if it's going to be as interesting thematically, but I mean, this is really what I love about it, is that it does actually really hit home in an age where people just try to simplify good and evil, especially on the internet. And this is a movie that basically says, no, the world is not like that. And I really, really love that journey and that arc and seeing that on screen. And that's really
it's important
what I take away from it.
From historical context, too, when people look at World War I and World War II, and the Germans are the bad guys. They're the ultimate evil, and some people still see them that way. And it tries to break that down.
There are good Nazis, believe it or not.
Fuck no, they're not.
Not in ideology, but there are some where, hey, if you knew them and never talked about, Jews or politics, then hey, maybe you'd have a beer with them. But then the moment you bring that up, that's when you start trying to kill each other.
I only just recently started drinking German beer. Okay,
hey, they got family members too. I'm just saying, they got people that love them too.
You're the bad guys.
It's a strange thing,
But
hey, people are not that simple.
It does
Let's
try
just
to
leave it there.
Yeah, it tries to help that out. It does.
Yeah, and it's a very, very, very risky point to try to make in a movie, and this movie really managed to nail it, and fucking kudos for that.
If you've been listening this long, there's something wrong with you. Get a ticket if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, maybe see it again.
Seriously, fuck you, Meninists. This isn't about that shit.
You didn't need 30 minutes of conversation to sell you. It should have sold itself. Please see it. We did see something else this week, actually last week, but hey,
about a couple weeks ago or so.
Yeah, we got to put it on an episode.
Yeah.
We caught A Hologram for a King, a film that almost no one saw, directed by Tom Tykwer, a filmmaker that almost no people are aware of. He helped the Wachowskis on Cloud Atlas. He did Run Lola Run, that we have a Dutch cinema
podcast for. There's also
he's worked on Sense8. The canceled Sense8.
He's worked with the Wachowskis, yeah. But what is that movie? The one with Ben Whishaw, that Perfume.
I still haven't seen that.
Yeah.
I need to see
it's
that.
good.
I want to see. I know it's a good whodunit.
It is
I
good.
need to see it.
You should pick it for the show because it's really something.
It used to be on Netflix. I almost watched it.
It used
when
to be
it
on
was.
Amazon. That's how I
Or is
saw
it on
it.
Amazon? Yeah,
I saw it that way years ago.
I should have seen it. But speaking of Amazon, that's how we saw this. Going from Amazon's to the Amazon, I guess. I mean, I guess it's a solid movie. It's like the best Tom Hanks performance I've seen in quite some time. It's
an airplane movie.
It's another fish out of water story, but a very conventional one.
Well, this one's different in that it's, that seems to be the selling point, but
it's like, hey, look, we made a movie in the United Emirates, like, check that out.
I don't know. I feel like, my memory's not fresh on this because we watched it so long ago we didn't put out the episode, but I mean, yeah, this is an airplane movie, and this, like,
it's a feel-good movie.
I feel like, hey, yeah, like, you can watch it. It's 90 minutes long, and be distracted, and Tom Hanks is likable, and there are a lot of things. There's a lot of things here thematically that are kind of choppy. Like, I think this is supposed to be set in 2008, right after the housing market collapsed.
I think it's supposed to be set today. I mean,
I don't know. That's definitely an aspect of it that it's touching upon.
No,
so.
It's just that there's this king out there in Saudi land that is trying to build an empire. But the reason that it has to be set today, or maybe the book was written then.
But it's got nothing to do. Like the title of the movie has very little
to do. But the technology didn't really come to fruition. It still actually hasn't in the way that this film has. It's very futuristic in that way. But no, I saw modern day between the cars and the technology.
Was there a smartphone in here? Because I really can't remember.
Maybe not smartphone, but just the hologram shit, to be honest. Like
well, which is like the end of the movie that you find that shit. So you really don't get any of it. But like, it's a midlife crisis movie.
Mm-hmm. It's a fish out of water midlife crisis.
Guy just trying to like, I guess find
meaning,
just some purpose in his life and how to continue. And like, as far as like a cultural clash too, it is interesting. There's a lot of really cool.
I love the driver
stuff. Yeah, between him and the driver, especially.
Even the doctor too. It's just it's a safe movie. There's nothing dangerous here. It's
like there's moments of interesting flourishes from Tom Tykwer for a second. Like there's stuff with like the
opening.
laptop screen and like
just
the opening, like the montage,
weird
but
music video for Talking Heads that comes out of nowhere.
Seriously, but it is all over the place. But this is best seen on an airplane when you're on a business trip and you just need some sort of release. Like it feels like it was made for that.
It's a fine movie that you can watch with your family, that you're going to have some laughs, but you're not really going to think about anything. It is pure escapism, but it's good for what it is.
It's a dime a dozen.
I only had one problem with this film, and it's not alone in this problem. It suffers from white man can save the Middle East syndrome, which you can see in Lawrence of Arabia, salmon fishing in the Yemen, among others, where literally this white guy comes into this place where he's never been and kind of becomes a savior.
I don't think so. Actually, no. Like, in fact, the final nail in the coffin has to deal with and then China basically took over, which was
that may be the case, and I can't.
That's actually pretty relevant right now, where it says a lot about us, I guess, as a country. But
of what I've seen of his films, this is definitely Tom Tykwer's safest film. There's outside of that opening 3 minutes, which just doesn't fit the rest of the movie and is very bizarre. Just hearing Tom Hanks sing is weird.
But it gets your attention.
It definitely gets your attention. Except this is kind of the film where that's not necessary. And there's a lot of weird things here, but it's shot in a traditional stance. There isn't weird slow motion or claymation or
it's weird because
like
there's like flourishes in there, but then it's like he tries to use them whenever he finds the most basic excuse for it when it's not even suited to begin with. Like
I remember this film's release because I heard nothing about it.
Yeah, I saw the trailer in theaters. I wanted to see it.
I didn't even see a trailer. I just saw a poster and I saw Tom Hanks and I saw Tom Tykwer and I went, yeah, I want to see that. That sounds good. But the thing was, since no one talked about it, it didn't get nominated for anything. It literally just appeared and then it popped up again on Amazon Prime and I went, yeah, why don't we watch that one? You know, that
Yeah.
I could see that. But I'm with you. It's a dime a dozen. It's a feel good movie for like, maybe an
It's
older
an airplane
crowd.
movie.
It's an airplane
really.
movie.
That's the best place to see it.
But
Like, that's...
for when I saw it, it was fine. I watched it late night, like after work. It was good. Like this is probably like one of those perfect open a bottle of wine, maybe drink a glass or two, and watch it kind of films, which they do a lot in this movie. Because there are some fun moments, but it's a dime a dozen. Moving on, I did catch one other thing this week, and besides Wonder Woman, it was one of my favorite movies recently, not of Debts of Cinema, just like a contemporary film. I saw Mr. Right, you know, that Max Landis scripted film, directed by some guy whose name I can't remember, who's also like not directed anything, so it doesn't matter. Stars Anna Kendrick and Sam Rockwell, among other people, the RZA, shoot, who else? There's like a couple other people that come out of left field, but it's mostly the Anna Kendrick and Sam Rockwell show, and that's why you're going to see it. It's a super zany, funny action rom-com. If you're into like the weirder parts of life, if you like black comedy, like Sam Rockwell stars as a hitman called the Red Nose Killer who kills people that hire him to be a hitman. That's the getup. And then he meets Anna Kendrick and they fall in love. But my Letterboxd review says this. I started off with a smile on my face. It got bigger and bigger throughout the film. And I didn't find myself, even in like the bad parts, not enjoying myself. It is a good time. And any movie that can make me do that, I just can't help but recommend. Sadly, I think it's off HBO Go now. I saw it right before it was getting removed, and that's why I decided to finally watch it. But probably the coolest thing it has going for it, it's set within the American Ultra universe. And apparently, apparently Dirk Gently's BBC show is also set within the same universe, which is just really cool to think about. Like they literally go the Ultra program at some point in the film, which is just cool. So there could be a Max Landis cinematic universe going out there, and we don't even know about it.
So Victor Frankenstein,
I don't know about
could very
that
well be
one.
linked to that. We don't
Maybe
know.
I think it's more of his original works, not adaptations, not clearly genre. Like,
Well, what was that an adaptation of? Was that a
Frankenstein? What do you mean? What?
No. That was a different version though. It wasn't
Even
one
still,
of the
it's-
Seth Graham
No,
Smith versions, was it?
no, you're what? No, I think
What's his name? I don't. The
Mary
guy that
Shelley.
Did, no, the guy that did like Abraham Lincoln Vampire Killer and that shit.
No. This is
Because Victor Frankenstein is very
this is
different from.
this is a straight up Max Landis interpretation of the Victor
Okay.
Frankenstein story. Which
Yeah, so it could be his
I
own
will.
universe. You know,
I will.
Maybe
I will
that
check
Frankenstein
that
is
out.
real.
I'll check out Frankenstein. It's still his only film that I haven't seen because I did see Me, Him, Her, which is he directed that one. I love the Death and Return of Super. No, that's the documentary. Fuck, what's his YouTube short called? I think it's just called The Death of Superman, and it was like the origin of drunk history. They stole that idea from him, and they did another one called Wrestling Isn't Wrestling, which I have to see also. That one's fairly recent, where it's just him breaking down like the history of WWE and if it's real or not type of thing. Because he's a big fanboy. The only problem I have with this movie, and it's not actually about the movie itself, is the internet. If you go on Letterboxd...
I will say this in your defense, because I read your review first, and it got me curious to check it out. And
You
then,
saw it, right?
And then I looked on Letterboxd, and what you're about to say, you're totally right.
Everyone on Letterboxd, which is a great site. It's my film diary. It's Steve's film diary. It's where I literally chronicle every movie I've ever seen, almost 3,000 of them, with rewatches, if I've seen it in 3D, if I've seen them in theaters. I converted from doing what I watched today on social media to doing Letterboxd. I love the site. It's Letterboxd without an E. It's xd.com. Every single review, or at least every negative review for this film, is the critic, and I put quotes around that term, says, fuck Max Landis, he's a hack, he doesn't know how to write things. This is just another Max Landis screenplay. He's the only person in the world, and he's aware of this, where his name is associated with a script.
Well, not the only person. Kevin Smith also gets
Maybe
similar
Kevin
treatment.
Smith, maybe Aaron Sorkin.
But yeah, those are the main two that I can think of that get judged for that.
He gets more than judged. It's like the only explanation I can understand is people look at him and go, oh, nepotism, hack, he got a lucky
That is the
break.
danger, I guess, of making yourself an internet personality and at the
I
same
guess,
time creating
but-
art, is that then you're putting yourself out there and then people are going to attack your work, which I'm not saying is okay, but it is really interesting that sociologically that really triggers that.
There are 4 movies for every film that's made. There's the film imagined, the film written, the film shot, and the film edited. It changes.
And he's responsible for the one written.
Exactly. Well, and imagined. The film in its script format is not the film you see. In any stretch of the imagination. You could improvise a scene, the actor could do something that wasn't in the script, they could bring a character to life in a way that the writer never imagined, and then even past that, the editor could do something to it that just completely changes everything. Not to mention test screenings or anything else that is thrown into that element. And if anyone ever reads or writes a script, a fucking critique, if you write a review and you talk about the screenplay and you actually haven't read the screenplay, then you don't know what you're talking about. It is not a part. You can talk about the dialogue, you can talk about the tone.
That's usually what people refer to. The first thing is it's dialogue and structure, but even still, structure is a process of the editing.
That's the editing thing. Yeah,
it's still something that we tend to like, because no one likes, we don't want to be repetitive. Like when we talk about editing, we tend to mention cuts, and then the structure is mainly based on the script. It's
a script and the talent.
Reviews can be wrong in that sense, absolutely. But I think it's just something that we default to.
All of these reviews on Letterboxd are wrong, though, not because their opinions are biased, because that's the case.
They're not about the movie.
It's a hate watch. They go, I hate Max Landis. Let me see his latest piece of shit. I read countless reviews that were like, this motherfucker needs to stop making movies. Oh, yet another piece of shit for Max Landis. And it isn't. Like, this is an American Ultra. Like, that movie has lots of flaws, okay? It goes way too big. There's conspiracies going on, and it's a love story.
Funny, but then again, that might be an issue with marketing.
Yeah, I think it was a marketing issue. It's not a stoner movie, which I think that's more an issue with marketing also.
Then again, how else do you market that movie?
Despite Bright being produced, or at least executive produced by Max Landis, and him being the writer for the thing, I hope it is not marketed because, hey, it's Netflix, they don't have a marketing budget, that he has any association with it, and when people see that one, that they review it for what it is, and not that it is him.
The internet community knows well enough.
Of course, the internet
does. He's responsible, and that's who's going to review it on Letterboxd. And then, if it's negative reviews, that are unfair against the movie, it's going to be to that and David Ayer because he did Suicide Squad, which a lot of people fucking hate.
He's a talented dude. He's like 30, 31 years old. He's young as hell. He has like 4 or 5 scripts that have been produced.
I own one of his movies on Blu-ray.
Even more out there, he has a production company. He's running 2 different shows at the same time. He's big on the internet. He tweets like every day. He's on Reddit. He's on Instagram, he's on Snapchat. He loves his fans and even loves his haters more. And the idea that this film, which he had very little to do with, he literally just wrote a screenplay and threw some money at it as executive producer, this was in film festivals. It has great romantic leads who have amazing chemistry. This is Sam Rockwell literally chewing up all the scenery. He's dancing, flashing things around, doing it is just a joy to watch. It is seriously a good time if it has its flaws. And it's not something that you haven't seen before, except it tries to turn it into something that you haven't. Like, it was reminiscent of American Ultra for me, because that's, Jason Bourne, but what if we made that more like Hometown Loser,
And also, if it references that universe, then there has to be some threads. I mean, honestly, I have not looked closely at this, but like I've seen enough of his things, I guess, that I feel like I should understand what his writing style is at this point, but I don't really see that many threads other than he comes up with really interesting ideas that he throws in there that no one it's very clear that almost there's thought in just about every single scene as far as how to write it. It's not like he just tosses shit out there. There's usually a small detail in there that's a nice touch to keep it interesting. That's the best thread I could think of on the spot right now. It's not like, like Kevin Smith, to some extent, I could understand someone picking that apart and then just being like, oh, it's fucking annoying. But Max Landis, what is there? Like, it's not a mark against him, but it's like, really, what the fuck are people criticizing?
This is the only thing that could possibly be. It's his name, and he made Chronicle, and everyone loved Chronicle, and they hate everything else.
You're so rich, your dad made American Werewolf in London, and fuck you.
More than just that one. He made fucking Animal House, But they must hate everything else that he made post-Chronicle and see him as some fucking joke, some jerk-off, because, hey, he admittedly kind of is an asshole on the internet, but
again, that's
most geniuses
when you put yourself out there, then you just kind of you risk that. That's just part of it. I mean,
But this is a good movie. If you're dating someone,
It's
you want to
unfair to
watch
the
a
movie,
movie
yeah, but-
with them, you're gonna enjoy this. If you're into black comedy and kooky humor, if you like Anna Kendrick or Sam Rockwell, you're really gonna enjoy this. It is a fun rom-com. It is a fun action rom-com. It has good supporting characters. It's a good time. It's just, I think it's a real shame that this is a mid-tier level. It's mediocre. It's a little bit better. It's dime a dozen, except it is shat on strictly because of one creative, which, like, it doesn't, he's the only one that this really happens to anymore. Like, McG, luckily he doesn't make anything, but even like Paul W.S. Anderson,
he just gets made fun for his name, like,
yeah, but even
Paul Worthless Shit Anderson to some extent,
he doesn't really get flack from the internet because they're like, oh, we know what kind of movies he makes, it's another one of his movies. But Max Landis, everyone has this hate boner for him, and my only fucking like clue into that is that they feel that they are a better writer than he is, and they are deserving of his claim, like his fame and money. That has to be it. And if that is the case, if you feel you're so much better than him and yet not accomplished, then fucking write a thing. Get off the internet, stop writing Yelp for movie reviews, and actually do something with your life instead of shitting on someone who's trying to bring joy into millions of people's lives. Like, I might not love every film he's made. I might not love everything he tweets. Yet I can see that he has a good heart, that he might be understood, but he wants people not necessarily to like him, but to enjoy his work. As a creator, as an artist, you have one goal, and that's almost never to make money unless you already have a lot of money and you want to make more money. It is literally for people to have some kind of emotional investment to what you're making. You want them to be blown away or shocked or applaud or to cry. You want to help them out or hurt them. Like, you want to bring something. You want to bring entertainment. And he's good at that. He is an entertainer. Like, he is very theatrical, not only in real life, but when it comes to his films. And I just think he gets this bad rap that I'll never understand. Like, maybe
it's stupid. It's the age of the internet, man.
Like, he has to win like an Oscar or something for someone to get off his back.
Even then, people attack the Oscars all the time, and they'll probably, I don't know, maybe they'll make some lame excuse if you ever got nominated for one of like, oh, another white guy gets it. I don't fucking know, but. Hey, as far as I'm concerned, the guy's made at least one movie that he has a hand in a movie that I like a lot, that I own on Blu-ray, that is, still like, to me is probably like, it's one of the better movies of the decade so far, and the dude is still working and he's making a bunch of stuff. He's going to be fine. If people want to bitch and moan, that fuck it, whatever, that's their problem, like, as far as I'm concerned, I think Chronicle will hold up like fairly well, not as some old time classic, but like as far as catalog, like, yeah, it'll be well respected in that sense, and I'm sure that the dude's gonna keep working and he's gonna make something one day that is bound to fucking strike gold. So like, he's gonna be fine. If people want to bitch and moan, well, that's their loss. They can bitch and moan and waste their time, and it's not gonna do anything.
Like, Chronicle has its place because it's a great found footage movie and it's a totally original.
It's definitely one of the best, like the top two of all time.
It's a totally original superhero film that a lot of people enjoyed, and then look at the talent behind it and where they went because of the film. Maybe not Josh Trank.
No, man, you're wrong. It's an Akira ripoff. Fuck him, man. Yeah. Fuck Max Landis. He just ripped off Akira and put a video camera in it.
Yeah, maybe not.
Fuck those people.
Not Josh Trank, but everyone else. Dane DeHaan. Yeah. And good movie. But this is, of what he's made thus far, not having seen Bright or Victor Frankenstein, it's my favorite. I really liked it. It played in tune with my sensibilities. It's a very fun movie. It's weird as all hell, but I enjoyed it. And if you do like him, or you do want to see Sam Rockwell in a role where he has like free reign, Tim Roth's in this too. It has a good cast.
It's pretty big casting. Right?
For how small of a movie it is. Like, it's not even... it's a Focus World feature, I believe. It's small as shit. Check it out. Give it its own due. If you write on the internet, write a review that doesn't say fuck Max Landis. But you saw something else, right?
Yeah, I took a risk with something that I had never heard of. Really just didn't know anything about it, other than it was a horror film from Ireland. what this is, I saw this movie called A Dark Song. The basic premise is that two people lock themselves in a house, and they perform a ritual. They perform a rite, and which takes about the course of quite a few months, and that is all I am going to say about it, because, you know, I've said this before, that we're kind of in a golden age of horror, and even though it's not anywhere near the end of the year yet, I've given a lot of thought to what my favorite films of the year are so far.
I'll split.
If I had to, like, put 5 of them down, I'm pretty sure they would all be horror, because I freaking loved
Get Out.
I loved Get Out. I loved Raw. You know, I'm probably one of the few people that really loved how crazy A Cure to Wellness is. Yeah, Split is there. This would absolutely be in there. This is probably the best of all the ones I've just mentioned. And
we still have A Ghost Story. We have...
Oh, yeah, well, but that's not horror,
well,
I don't think.
Even still. But we had A Ghost Story.
It's supernatural, yeah.
What's the fuck? There's, like, something's coming out soon that I've seen the trailer for with...
Are you talking about It?
No, not... Well,
Even though that's not
looks really
micro-budget.
good. But, no, it's like, this house is not as safe anymore, or something. It has a weird title like that. It's like 4 words, 5 words.
As long as you're not talking about the Bye Bye Man.
No. This is something that's about to come
Which
out.
I have to see at some point, because
something...
I just got to know. This
is something that's going to come out soon.
Right.
But there's still a good amount of stuff coming. A Death Note, if that counts, on Netflix.
Yeah, but I mean, this just came and went. Like, it was literally one showing a day around 10 o'clock for like a week, and it's an IFC Midnight release, and I guess because it's because it's so limited. It's like, I'm really bummed about that, because this was so fucking good. Like, I really don't want to explain too much, because really, like, you know, you just have to experience this for yourself with very little going in. But I mean, yeah, like, just in this, it totally fits in there with, like, you know, the stuff that Blumhouse does, which is micro budget. It's like, it's literally 2 people in a house, like, pretty much just trying to get into this other world by doing this ritual, and that, you know, interesting stuff happens, and really just the process of the ritual itself is fascinating. And just the dynamic between these 2 characters, and, you know, the fact that, I mean, it's set in Wales, but I think it's officially a film from Ireland. Like, you know, just getting cinema outside the U.S. that's like this, like, just getting genre filmmaking. I know it was a big hit at Fantastic Fest last year. Yeah, it's just really, really, really fucking good. A Dark Song, I'd buy that for $1. When it comes out on some streaming service, check it out. For you, Brian, keep it on your radar for Halloween this year, because it's really, really good.
It depends where it is, because I mean, I'm
sure it'll be on some service at some point.
I'll probably start making my list in the weeks to come, because I really do want to kind of cement it and stick to it this year, since hopefully I won't be in the midst of another crisis or anything. And I do.
That's a good term for a relationship.
Yeah, and I do want to.
I remember those years of my life when I was in a crisis.
Right. I want to get some things done. Something I might check out. I have in front of me on VHS, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, among others. I want to do a good mix of the last year or 2 that I haven't seen, and then older classics. I don't know. Like, this might be the right time to do some more of the Universal horror classics, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just wait to see those when the Dark Universe films come out. I'm not sure, though. I'll see. I mean, I got Dark Water.
I'm very skeptical of even if they'll get made at this point.
They're getting made. I had Dark Water on DVD.
Do you think The Mummy's going to open big? Like,
I don't think The Mummy's going to open that big, but the thing is, and this is what they were talking about this week, that it's not going to be MCU, it's not going to be DCEU, it's not going to be Transformers universe, that they're going to play with the budgets, that, like, Invisible Man,
they're going to
go
from, like, mid-budgets?
Yeah, mid or even micro-budget, because, like, think about it. This is something that they could definitely do. They got Blumhouse there. They got
that makes more
sense. They got
sense,
Jordan Peele at Universal. You could very easily get someone who has a lot of talent on something, film it for like $15-20 million, put all the rest of the money into marketing.
Still, a lot of these guys command pretty big paychecks.
Sure,
so
but
it's still going to be pretty big.
From just a production standpoint, not billing, You could film something like The Invisible Man for nothing. There's no action going on there. You don't even need CG. You just fucking put him in a green suit and shoot around him. There's nothing fancy that whatchamacallit, that Johnny Depp's gonna have to do for that role. You don't even
Just
see
wear
him
a trench
acting.
coat and have his face covered.
Yeah, like that's not gonna be difficult to do. And something like Wolfman or Frankenstein.
Don't forget, I mean,
those are a
League
lot
of
bigger.
Extraordinary Gentlemen. Yeah, as you know, as much as people want to forget that movie, had a really cool Invisible Man.
Yeah,
in it.
no, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
he was a Invisible Man. That's how they
Yeah,
got
but I mean,
around.
that trick worked too because he had makeup on his face.
Well,
and it
that's how
worked
they
out.
got around.
That was a good effect.
Because that was, as far as I'm aware, that was the only character that wasn't Creative Commons. He was the only one, or not Creative Commons, but
They called him Skinner or something. I
Yeah.
don't think it was the official.
like
one.
when they talk
I don't
about their
think they've
team.
ever called him the Invisible
No,
Man officially.
seriously, they call him a Invisible Man because everyone else, it's like, oh, this is Dracula's wife, this is Frankenstein, this is Jekyll and Hyde, this is Alan Quatermain, because they were all public domain. And then for him, because he wasn't, they were just like, oh yeah, he has the invisibility going on, which is a fun little like, oh yeah, why didn't we think of that type of thing? But yeah, I'll think about it. Thanks for listening. We hope it's been a pleasure. If you like this show and you want to hear more of our wonderful voices on a weekly basis, check out 2 Cents. I'll recap what's happened in film, TV, and tech news.
We're also on Debt to Cinema, where one or both of us crosses a title off our list of shame.
You can find all of our content at dollarreviews.net. Follow us on Twitter or like us on Facebook at Dollar Reviews.
We're available on iTunes, YouTube, TuneIn, Stitcher, and constantly looking to expand to other platforms.
If you listen somewhere we're currently not available, you'd like to contribute some talking points, send a Debt to Cinema request, or if you just want to laugh at us, you can do so by reaching out to us on social media or send an email to brian@dollarreviews.net.
Or you can email me as well, steve@dollarreviews.net.
You can follow me personally on Twitter at Brian Gillis, that's BryonGillis, and now you know how to spell the email too, and also under the same name on the lovely site Letterboxd, which acts as my film diary, where I rate films that I'm watching, write the occasional review, and even sometimes compile lists.
You can also find me on Twitter at S_MTX, and also follow my film diary at Letterboxd under the same name, where I log everything I watch, and sometimes write brief reviews.
That's it for this week. Until next time, keep the change.